Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video and going back into EX2 of the Summer Memories Beatdown Battle. Part 1 either came out yesterday or the day before, one of the two. I'm not quite sure where we're scheduling these yet, but it is fairly straightforward. I mean, it is only one enemy, so you're looking to single target nuke. You can use oranges, just no greens. Pierce and synergy resistance, as you'll see today, you can kind of get around. And yeah, he's got the reverse stats on a couple different turns if you go so deep into it. But again, part 1 already aired, so if these teams don't work and you missed that video, please find that one. Or if you have any other teams you've used that I didn't show in either video, put it down in the comments. But let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, we're going to start with the gimmicky teams, and we'll do the other teams afterwards. But we have the Schemer meta, which has the stupid sword gimmick, which, at least for EX2, you can get through. You can't do it in Inferno, unfortunately. But if you have Soe, or you just have any green protector, essentially, and you have Soka, and you have the free-to-play Laplace, like, you can do enough damage with this team in order for the swords to kill, because the swords easily do 2 million as long as you have an okay attack stat and you have a certain amount of hits. And we have Laplace for the actual follow-up orbs on greens, so while green orbs technically are nerfed, the green buff from Soka will kind of help offset that. And then we brought Exalted Champion Rimuru for a turn of possible rainbows and an attack buff, because our attack is going to be nerfed for a lot of this, so that's not great. We want to try and offset that with some kind of additional attack buff. So like Rimuru works because he's doing double duty. If you want to bring like the old space Rimuru, you can, or just bring a different character who is stacking attack on their own, like Primal Demon Blanc or Commander Diablo. Like, we've done that a couple of times already now on other stages. But we are bringing the hero for the rewind, because we do want to do this within 5 turns, and we need to get the most hits possible. So the rewind is going to give us extra protection gauge, it's going to give us an extra turn to add more hits on, and while we're not doing a lot of damage because green orbs are nerfed, it's still, it's still giving us hits, as long as we have both our Schemer units up front. And if you want to bring other Schemer units to give you more hits from more characters, you can certainly do that. But Soe, with the green buff and the protection gauge, we can cycle him pretty well, so we can get a lot of hits in just essentially 2 turns right here. So if you have access to like Schemer Lumi and you have the multi-hit, that's even better, because you would just really rack it up. But there's the attack nerf. It's not awesome, but it is something. We are stacking with Soe, so we're kind of offsetting it, but we would want our attack stat to be as high as possible. And then we've also brought Wind Lumi for the healing. I don't know if she was in the first team build. I think she was. But we just want to make sure our HP is topped up, because we can actually die on turn 5, because the swords don't kick in until after the fact. So here we use the Rainbow Alt Swap from Rimuru to give us a couple different Rainbow Orbs, so that's going to help us get protection gauge and continue to get hits. But Lumi keeping us healed is kind of important, because especially if you get counter-attacked a lot, which I feel like Veldora counters quite a bit, the heal is just kind of a nice back pocket thing. So it's turn 4. We have this turn and next turn to get as many hits as possible. So let's go ahead and attack buff here, and then I wonder if I send Soka away now. No, I just send it. Interesting. I don't know why I did that turn 4. The swords don't kick in until turn 5, so I'm not entirely sure why I've raised everyone's attack here. Don't do that if you're going to run this team. Wait until turn 5 to get the attack buff. Not entirely sure what I was doing, but I mean, yeah, that does decent damage, and if Veldora just really, really hates one person, they're going to be kind of low on HP. And we want to leave Soka and Laplace up front as much as possible, because we want them to get the most hits in, because they count as 2 hits per hit, or per attack, instead of 1 like everybody else. That's how this whole thing works, is that Schemer units get double the amount of hits. So 2 hits per Soka and Laplace. We got 84% attack buff right there, because they do give us the Drago effect, which is how very kind of them. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, doesn't really matter. I mean, Laplace is technically dark. You could send him last if you wanted to. But we're up to 86 hits now, plus the follow-ups, I think, if we have them. No follow-ups. But, regardless, with the attack buffs and stacks and the hits, he's dead, because those were doing like 600,000 a hit or something, and he's got 2 million HP. So the sword gimmick can definitely work for at least EX2. Alright. You can't use Reckoning in this fight, or it's not very easy to use it. But you can use Vengeance, because Veldora removes your status effect, but does not clear his own. So, if you want to go way back in time to the OG big defense team, you can. So Vengeance Velzard, Vengeance Yom, Raphael, we brought free-to-play Isis and Sufia for orb changing and the green buff, and then we brought Wind Lumi again to keep us healed, because we're going to be here for a while. And it's a very simple team. It's just green orbs, buffed with Lumi, or not buffed with Lumi, but buffed with Isis, buffed with Velzard. And there will be a few turns where he does remove your effect. So like right here, he took it away from us. But the hits will still count, because he hit us when we had the Vengeance effect on. So, unfortunately, this is not the best turn, and you can only do so much sometimes. And because green orbs are nerfed, there are going to be a few turns where you do not fully cycle Velzard, but the idea is that just to get as many stacks as possible. We only have 2 characters who are actually putting Vengeance on, so it does go a little slow depending on your RNG on orbs, because again, this is like the second turn where we had almost no greens. But this is why we brought Lumi. My Lumi is skill fused, so she can change any 2 orbs to greens. It doesn't really matter what color they are, so that is a benefit to that. But we're going to be here for a while, because Vengeance does not do a lot of damage. But you have to keep Veldora attack sealed. Like, that's a necessity. Especially when you get to high count turns, like turn 9 plus. Veldora's got a butt ton of attack and a butt ton of light attack, and his ults are going to hurt, and his normal orbs are going to hurt. So it's always important to keep Veldora attack sealed, have the elemental resistance up, have guard up, and have the physical resistance from Yom on pretty much every turn past turn 8. For the first 7 turns, not that big a deal, because his attack stat isn't super duper high, but you do need to keep yourself fully protected in the later stages of the fight, because you can see we're on turn 9 and he's not even half HP. So we're going to be here for a while, which is always good that we bring Lumi, because she's got the heal and the orb changing. She's doing double duty here. So very, very important that you keep yourself protected at all turns. If there's like a turn where you can't, and you have to prioritize one thing over the other, I would drop the orb change from like one character in order to get one of the other defensive buffs, because 6,000 damage right there on that hit, that's just a normal counter. Like, that hurts. He does it a couple times and you're dead. Like, I've had a lot of runs here where they just die. So there's a turn where I didn't have the guard, and if he had sent 2 attacks and the counter on Sufia, high chance that she would have just died. So we did get lucky that he spread it out. But you can see the amount of damage we're taking in such a late stage of the fight is not conducive to winning. So Velzard thankfully resets everyone, including the backline, so we can keep things cheap, and we're going to use pretty much every skill right here. He's already sealed, so we don't need to use it again, and everyone already has the element buff for defense, so we can just put stacks on, orb change, full hand of greens. The greens are already buffed. This is fantastic. This is what we want to see, and it gets us another Velzard. We're always going to be capped out on points, though, so that's a good thing. If you're sending full hands of greens, you're always going to have 150 points. So, alright, there's a hit. There's a hit. We're up to 49 stacks there. He removes our Vengeance status, but the 2 hits still count, so he's up to 49. And we got a couple more turns, and turn, I think, yeah, 13, he kills himself eventually. So Vengeance can work. Reckoning, you can kind of try it. Maybe it works for EX2, but since he removes your statuses, it's kind of hard to keep that going, whereas Vengeance will always stay there. So Vengeance can work if you want to huff glue. Okay, now we start the blue stacking teams, and honestly, like, you could do this kind of strategy with any blue stacking team, because Veldora can be stunned. So if you want to bring Guy, like we are here, and stun him pretty much every turn past turn 2 or 3, that works. Or if you have access to the Spirit Master Velzard, even better. So if he can't hurt you, then you can't die. So we're going to just keep him stunned. And like we're going to show off a couple different blue stacking teams here. You could easily replace one of the characters for a stun character and you would win the fight. It's just a matter of time. But as you saw, at least with this team, we are running Warrior's Mind, Violet, and Guy, the Summer Hinata that you can get for free, and then Fount of Wisdom Rimuru, who you can also get for free. Just one thing to note is that Rimuru and Violet are skill fused, so their damage buffs are a lot higher than what their base counterparts would be. And if that's the case and you don't have them skill fused, just go a couple extra turns and stack up, or nuke twice or something with Hinata somewhere in there. Even though Veldora is stunned, there is a field effect, so no matter what, he's going to have the stat reversal past turn 5 up until turn 8, or the end of turn 7. So if you're trying to nuke and you have a lot of debuffs like we have here, like we have the alt resistance down and we have the physical resistance down, or if you've brought Velzard for the Aegis, then you're going to have to wait to turn 8 to nuke with full power, quote unquote. But as long as you can get full hands of blues, like, you can keep him stunned from turn 2 all the way forward, unless you get really, really, really unlucky with orb changes and things start to cost like 100 points for your orb changes and your stun. Then it's kind of a downside. But if you get like 1 orb change and 1 stun a turn, this is easy. It just takes a while. Like you have to go minimum turn 8. You might be able to go faster. I have a team that will do it faster. It requires a few different things, but you can do it. So here we're going to orb change with Violet, and then we can orb change with Rimuru. Rimuru is double skill fused, so his orb change can hit any color, any 2 orbs, and that's great. Guy is not skill fused though, so he is locked to the 2 greens and 1 orange, which for the most part is fine because we've got 2 other orb changers on the team. And Hinata being dark and physical, dark at least, alongside Renard, who's giving us the weakness strike and the alt resistance down debuff, means that Hinata on turn 8 can hit relatively hard, and with the amount of buffs that we have, she'll be able to kill. Violet's got alt resistance down and crit damage, Guy's giving alt damage and crit rate, and then Rimuru with his physical buff and physical down plus the weakness strike and the alt resistance down stacking from Renard. I mean, it's a good turn. So here we're going to get the EX ult, it's turn 5. We're going to send her away now. That way we can leave just most of our orb changers up front the entire time and our stunning character. Very important that you stun every turn though. Like you don't want him to do anything if you're doing this strategy. So prioritize the stun. If you only can send 5 blues in a turn, fine. Just make sure to stun him. Here, alright, stun and orb change. Thankfully everything is still not super duper expensive. But we're on turn 6, you can see that even though he has been stunned the entire time, he still has the Drago and the reverse effect, so there's nothing you can really do about it. And because he's got the reverse effect, the alt resistance debuffs that we've been stacking with Renard are actually buffs, so that's why you're not nuking on up until turn 8. Because you're nuking into a buff that you've given him intentionally, but that he's reversed. So we're going to just use the stack of Renard, because at least he'll get a stack of alt resistance. It's not going to give us weakness strike on Hinata, but it's only 1 stack. And now we're coming up to turn 8, and we can full buff here. We don't need to use Hinata's own personal skill, because we're already getting crit rate from Guy, and there's no one here giving the Enamor skill, so we can't take part in the Enamor strike effect of her skill. Which, I mean, if you could, great. If you want to bring, like, Summer Ramirez or something, or somebody else, the new Blanc, like that's perfectly available. You could do that, and then Hinata will hit really, really hard. But we don't really need her for that, so we're fine here. And again, if your Hinata doesn't kill on turn 8, and then does 3.3 million, and he only has 2 something, then go an extra like couple turns or something, and that can certainly work out for you. Alright, the next blue stacking team is going to be the Spirit Master team-ish. We've got the hero, the free-to-play Ritas, Leon, and then we brought the OG Space Master hero for the crit and the rewind. We are bringing Blanc, which might be controversial. We're not actually nuking with Blanc, though. we're going to nuke with Leon. And so if you don't have Blanc, you just don't bring her. You bring some other kind of damage buffing character for Leon himself, like another crit damage unit like Carrion or something, or somebody else. But we are nuking with Leon and his single target power. And then we have Violet, who is another orb changer, plus the magic buff. So this does work. In turn 1, I mean, you could orb change with Ritas. You could literally orb change with any of them. Ritas, as long as they're both Spearmaster orbs, which you would have to bring Leon in for the hero here, and you could use it, or you could use Leon's, or you could use Violet's. Like, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And because the hero is keeping you mostly topped up on HP, you don't need to worry about dying, especially since with this team, we have enough power to kill on turn 5. We don't have to go to turn 8 like we did with that stacking commander with Hinata and the stun team. You can bring Guy in place of Blanc if you want to, and just stun Veldora, and that would, I mean, it wouldn't help your damage out, but it would save you from ever taking a hit, essentially, after turn 3. But since this is a much newer team with a lot more power in Leon's single target and his alt and EX alt damage, we can kind of just brute force it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We should probably be sending Blanc orbs last, but, you know, whatever. If you don't have her, you simply don't have her. And because we have so many orb changers, your hands kind of don't matter. Like, we could literally orb change out of any hand here, as long as we have the points for it. Maybe it's not a whole hand of green orbs. Oh, actually, well, one... No, actually we could, as long as they were Spearmaster orbs. Because we could change the 1 with Violet, we could change 2 with Ritas, and then we could change 3 with Leon. So, I mean, technically you could get a whole hand of shit, and you'd still be okay. But we do want to work on getting an alt. Thankfully, we do have the Enamor ability from the Masked Hero, which sometimes Veldora removes, because it's a status effect. So sometimes that just won't be there. You won't heal, you won't get the extra, 50% alt gauge or something, or whatever it is, if Veldora is a turn and he just removes the statuses, because it is a status effect. But it should still be enough, especially if you get kind of lucky on Leon orbs like this, and you get his EX alt, and we're entering turn 5, and you're looking ready to go, and you've got 300 skill points, and what else do? Well, you just nuke him. That means we're probably not using the hero buff, because now we have the stat reversal. Still not a super huge deal, though. So 300 points, we can use the alt and EX alt damage. Boom. We haven't even used the rewind yet. Like, we could have gotten more stacks if we had used the rewind, but we didn't. So we are really just underperforming here. We've got the magic buff from Violet, and then we are going to bring Blanc in. We're going to use her damage buff, and then if you got her, great. The dark resistance down that turned into a buff means nothing, because we're nuking with an earth character. So it has no bearing on our damage output. So we'll send this, and Leon does 1.89, which is just enough to get the job done. So Spearmaster can do it, and if you want to go further in, you totally can, but that was the turn 5 kill with a stacking team, so there we are. And the final team I have for you is yet another stacking blue team, but with this setup, we're going to nuke on turn 4, which means you can fully debuff him with the hero's crit stuff and everything. And we've got Renard and Diablo. Renard is giving extra damage against light enemies. Diablo is a single target dark nuker. This is a fight where we want a single target dark nuker, so this works. And we're going to force his EX alt using the power of rainbow orbs. And because he's physical, he'll get the guaranteed crit from Guy, or technically the hero. And we'll get the Commander Shizu buff, which is physical and EX damage. And then Diablo has his own attack buff. The synergy power that he has, no bearing because we're not bringing a synergy unit. But it's still, if you get lucky on Orb RNG, you can get this done. So, turn 1, you could go one of two ways. You could use the Rainbow Convert turn 1, because he would change them to blue to rainbows. Or you could do Shizu's full orange convert into a 6-handed blue. It's really up to you. I've done both. Technically, it's easier to use the rainbow, especially if you have Rimuru's skill fuse and you can use it twice in a fight. If you can only use it once, I would probably lean more towards using Shizu. But what you're really looking for is you're looking for a lot of Diablo orbs. So you might have to reset a few times in order to get this going. But if you do get like 4 Diablo orbs with another one coming, you can make it work. So here we're going to convert. Boom. All right. Not a full hand, but also not the end of the world. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. He's doing 15k a hit. Not bad. And now it's turn 3. We got another butt ton of Diablo orbs, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So let's rewind. Boom. Let's stack. And then we can maybe do a bit of orb changing here. So boom, and then we can use the rainbow convert here, which will turn all the blues to rainbows, and that means that we're going to get the Diablo EX ult. And we still have a rewind turn to get a few more stacks in, if the orbs allow us to. That's the thing. If they allow us. We still have access to Shizu's convert, we still have access to Rimuru's convert. Using them both would be asinine because we would just change the oranges anyways. But let's use the Lord's Ambition to remove the attack nerf from us for a couple of turns. That way we can be quote-unquote full power here. And then we'll bring Shizu in and we'll just orb change into 5 blues. Alright. So here we go, another stack of Renard, and then we just send this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're maxed out on points, only 250, but we're not using a super expensive team. And now we're looking pretty good. EX ult, Lord's Ambition, we can use at least a couple of the big time buffs. Actually, we could use 3, because they all cost 80 points. So, we're going to do Diablo, Guy, Shizu buff. Not going to worry about the hero, because we're already getting crit from Guy. Crit resistance would be nice, but oh well. So let's go ahead and hit with Diablo, and then some follow-up orbs, and he does 2.7 million. So this is a turn 14. You could 120% totally just turn this into an 8-turn stacking team, and you would still be fine. And you could still bring, instead of bringing like Coleus Rimuru, you could bring Octagram Guy, and you could stun him, and you could go that route too. So if you have this team build, you can attempt to nuke turn 4, but if you don't have this specific thing, you could just go to turn 8. But those are the teams I have for you today. Let me know if this helped you out. Let me know if you have any other teams that were not shown in this video or the last video that you used and was able to make it work, so other people can see that. But that's it from me. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.